This channel is where I express my thoughts and perspectives. They're just my opinions, so I don't think they're right or wrong. You always have the right to agree or disagree with what I talk about, and I'm just hoping to learn from every and each one of you who watches my videos. So if you're interested, stick around. Today, I quit becoming an adult. For you, what are the definitions of adults? Is it about being old enough, like attending a coming of age ceremony? Or is it about having a job, paying rent on time, or being a responsible citizen of a country? I always had the image of adults as people who have figured things out, like knowing exactly what they want and do in order to live life with fulfillment and happiness. But as time passed, I noticed that I wasn't figuring anything out, no matter how old I became. Then I thought, am I the only one feeling like this? At the time, I felt like I was alone on this earth. But fortunately, I had some great friends who told me that they were feeling the same. And when I posted YouTube videos mentioning how I was feeling lost and behind in life, I identified that many people were going through the same thing. We are living in the age of social media where people are so busy showing others how amazing and productive their lives are. Then we look at the information surrounding us and may subconsciously create the image of what our lives are supposed to look like right at this moment. But in fact, it is nowhere near that image and we might feel overwhelmed by it. For me, it wasn't just about social media, but a lot of things that I experienced in life encouraged me to create the image of what adults were supposed to be. This is why I was quite confused when I identified the gap between how things were supposed to be in my mind and the reality of how others around me and I were actually feeling. Then I was like, didn't I just make that ideal image of adults up in my mind? And because of it, I felt frustrated with myself when I wasn't meeting my own expectations. So at the end of the day, it was my own fault for making things up in my head without trying to find the truth of this world. What I mean by the truth of this world is that if we take a look around, there are many different kinds of adults. For example, there are adults who have learned helplessness and acquired the mindset of this is just what it is and nothing is going to change, although their souls want to scream that it is not true. There are also adults who often lie or take advantage of others to benefit themselves financially or authoritatively. They say that they are good and bad people, but the definition of good and bad is up to each of us to decide, and there are so many times that we can't agree on what is right or wrong. It's like a courtroom where a winning case happens based on who tells the most convincing story to the judge and jury, and it may not be necessarily about who did right or wrong morally. After experiencing more of this world, I questioned my definition of adults, and I came to the conclusion that there is no definition of them. Personally, I grew up in Japan, so I can see that many Japanese people living here have certain perspectives of how things should be, and people told me to act like a student, adult, employee, etc. But the interesting thing to me is that I could see that those people who angrily told me to be something as if there was no other option seemed stressed and often unhappy themselves. So I decided not to be them because I take life seriously and I always want to strive for happiness rather than unhappiness. Creating the image of how things should be or how people should act give us certainty, rules, and harmony for us to live in society collaboratively. However, excessive expectations of it wouldn't allow you to create your own path and might make you feel like following a way that somebody else has laid out for you. I guess it is a way to live for some people, but it is not for me to live my life. So I decided to quit becoming an adult that I created within my mind and decided to be me. And by trying to be me all the time, I'll create my version of an adult that might not be the popular view of what adults are supposed to be, but I know I'll feel fulfilled by presenting another way of becoming an adult to this world.